Hi class, welcome. As promised, we are transitioning into really focusing on the habits and skills and tools that successful students use in college. And today what we will focus on is memory and learning styles. So again, memory strategies are going to be one tool that you'll use. And also it's really important to understand and know yourself and your learning styles, and knowing what environments, what time, what settings will set you up for success. So if you haven't already, in Canvas posted is a TED Talk by Peter Doolittle on working memory. So please watch that video in its entirety. And what I've done is I've actually posted a discussion on Canvas. So I want you to all try Peter Doolittle's 5-word exercise and try to answer his 3 questions while remembering those 5 words and share how that experience was for you. So in the video, Doolittle shares that that working memory, it can be limited, but it can be something that you work on and improve on. So speaking of memory, I want you to kind of reflect on your experience before coming to college, maybe in high school, or school before you came to College of San Mateo or the San Mateo Community College District. What's different? You know, how is the environment different? How are the classes different? How is the teaching different? How is the counseling different? Is the approach the same that you used as in high school? Do you approach things a little differently? What are some of the similarities? So think about those pros and cons and strategies, and that's something that we're going to also discuss as a class as well. So one thing that you'll find in college is that you may actually find less homework and worksheets. I know that there are some of that in some classes that you have, maybe some of your math classes, maybe some of your counseling classes where you'll get worksheets. But sometimes in college you'll find you're assigned papers, and a lot of the things are measured by quizzes, midterms, labs, and exams. So that environment might be a little different where you might have a lot more smaller assignments, but maybe there might be fewer papers or essays or midterms that you're evaluated on in a class. Another thing to note is that sometimes in college, you'll find that usually classes are within a semester. And then the next semester, you'll take another class set of subjects or have maybe different teachers. Whereas in high school, you'll have a class for an entire year. For example, you might also have quarters in your high school. Obviously, at the San Mateo District, we are on a semester system and also have a summer semester as well. So a key is to be able to kind of read the situation and the environment. For those of you who are interested in transfer, it's also important to understand that the transition from community college to university is also different. Not necessarily that the university is harder, but more so that you're going, in most cases, from lower division classes in your freshman, sophomore year to transitioning to upper division coursework your junior and senior year. So there are several strategies, and we will be talking about these strategies for becoming a good student or a better student over the next couple weeks. One really solid strategy that you can use as a student is studying in chunks. So what studying in chunks means is essentially you'll take pieces of the material that you're going to learn and break it up, as opposed to trying to absorb it and do it all at once. One strategy is really focus on it little by little. There's a saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Studying in chunks kind of utilizes that theory and philosophy. Another strategy that can be used is really, this has a lot to do with knowing yourself, is finding the time that you're most productive, okay? And only you can really answer that and understand that. So if you can set up your study time as a student to be at the time you're most productive, then you're also likely to use that as a strategy for success. So, for example, if you're someone who likes to pull the late nights and you can really focus when everyone else is asleep, and you get in your zone as a student, then utilize that. If the first thing in the morning when you have your coffee and you're most alert, that's when you do really well, then try to focus your big study time then. But really understand yourself. We can all study and do things at times we don't prefer, but really we all have our preference, and really that comes from knowing yourself. So make the most out of that by studying when you function best. Another thing is a plan of prioritizing your study time and focus. So one strategy that was brought up by Dr. John Maxwell is a theory that he calls planned neglect. And what Maxwell means by that is that if it's time to study, really dedicating that time to just studying and avoiding other distractions. How many of you have had situations where you've got a really big paper or presentation or exam and you end up doing everything except for studying or doing what you have to do? So maybe you clean your room, you iron your shirts, you do the laundry, you wash your car, and then you put your task at hand last. I've definitely done that. I know several students I've met with have shared that they've done that too. So what Maxwell's strategy of planned neglect is that if that is the time dedicated to, say, studying for your calculus exam or writing a paper for your English class, intentionally neglecting other things that are in your life and really focusing on that task. And that can be really challenging because a lot of us have other responsibilities like work and family and children. But a strategy is that if you can block out a time and plan to really dedicate yourself and focus on that exact task. And if you can be efficient and utilize that time well, Maxwell's argument is that you can enjoy those other obligations and priorities in your life as well. So think about the planned neglect. If you've got to study, say no to the social networking, say no to going out maybe with your friends, and say, hey, this time I've got dedicated, I've got to really do well. So try that planned neglect strategy that Maxwell uses. Another key is being really active in terms of the learning process. What do I mean by this? That means if you've got a reading assignment, reading usually is not enough. So in the learning process, maybe you're taking notes, maybe you're highlighting. If you've got a physical book, maybe it means writing notes and cues to help you remember. Sometimes it's helpful also to write your notes and retype them. There are a lot of different ways to learn actively, but also what's really important is in active learning, you do not want to wait till a quiz is coming up or a midterm or a final exam is coming up. You actually want to really be studying that stuff along the way. And that's really one of the most important key takeaways to being an active learner is that you're not just getting back to it when it's time to remember it, but continuously working on it throughout your semester. The other thing besides studying and focusing at a time when you function best is also finding that place in that environment where you do really well. Okay, maybe it's your bedroom, maybe it's your kitchen table, but there are also folks who might feel really distracted at home. You might have roommates, you might have family, you might have children that are not able to pay all of your attention to your assignment. So in addition to kind of prioritizing your time and focus and finding a time when you study best, is find that environment that really works for you. For some people, you can do it where it's noisy and there are a lot of distractions. Others really need that focus. So whatever it is, whether it's, the library or going to the learning center or one of the labs on campus or your favorite coffee shop, if you want to be at a cubicle at the library where you're kind of zoned into your own stuff, find that environment where you can really focus. So if being at home is a distraction, don't study at home. Go somewhere like a library or a coffee shop where you can do really well. Or if being at school with your friends could be distracting, maybe you have to head home and really focus. So again, this has a lot to do with knowing and understanding yourself and really being honest with yourself and saying, hey, I know I do really well in this setting, and I know I don't do so well in this setting, so I'm going to go on the setting where I do well and am more successful.